voting for the Hall of Fame. Are you putting him in?
Yeah, I would, because I think the DH log was broken. The log jam with DHs was broken with Paul Molitor winning. So I think they're starting to get recognition. I also think with Dennis Eckersley going in, the relief pitchers are starting to get recognition too.
Soft ground ball is short. Jeter, and that'll do it. But the Jays get a run. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 man left. Toronto won, and the New York Yankees coming to bat. Birthday today. He is 67 years old, and doesn't seem like he's that upset about it. Pretty happy. He's so happy he put together this starting lineup. It's written by Joe and it's presented by Rico. Johnny Damon's in left field. He leads off, batting second, playing shortstop, the captain, Derek Jeter. Bobby Abreu's in right field. He'll hit third. Cleaning up and playing third base, Alex Rodriguez. Hideki Matsui will DH. He'll bat fifth. Batting sixth and catching, Jorge Posada. Robinson Cano at second base. He'll bat seventh. Last 13 games starting to heat up. Andy Phillips at first base will bat eighth, and batting ninth with a 13-game hitting streak, center fielder Melky Cabrera.
Right-hander Sean Markham on the mound. He's 1-1 in his career against the Yankees. And this is what he's done this season. He's been in 25 games. This will be his 26th appearance. He worked as a reliever and then now as a starting pitcher because of injuries to the Blue Jays rotation. We'll get to the Land Rover pitcher scouting report in just a second.
And the pitch to Damon is low.
Thank you, Johnny, for taking the pitch. 7:23:06. That's last year. He won his first game in the major leagues. It was against the Yankees. And he's a right-handed batter, hitting only 190 against him. And he is 4-1 on the road this year.
4-1, an even 3 ERA on the road, and at Rogers Center 1-2 with a 4.50. Now Johnny Damon continues to struggle, hitless in his last 11 at bats, and 2 for his last 17. His average at a very un-Damon-like 238. Count 2-2.
Joe, was that changeup?
That was a great changeup.
Yes.
You see the movement on this ball and how it just kind of drops off the table.
It was almost, it almost looked splitter-like.
Yeah.
Now the thing about Damon, as Michael just said, he's struggling, but he's only struck out twice in his last 45 plate appearances. So he's putting the bat on the ball. He's just not hitting it as hard as he would like to. And I think a lot of that early in those number of at-bats had to do with his ribcage problem that he was having. He's starting to get a little healthier now. Markham's got good movement on his fastball. He's got a slider. We saw the good changeup, and he works fast.
You know, this is where the importance of the bottom of the lineup is so important. When some of the guys are in the top are struggling, like Johnny Damon, and Abreu's 0 for his last 13.
Shattered bat, foul.
I mean, that's how you can keep scoring runs and you win ball games, because you know they're not always going to be hot, and Abreu's been kind of up and down, and Johnny Damon's had a tough year. But when you're getting the contributions from the Canos and the Phillips and the Cabreras, and it just makes a totally different lineup, and you win a lot more games.
.68-mile-an-hour offering there, in the count 3-2.
You know, even though Johnny Damon hasn't been hitting, he's been getting his walks and going deep into counts, and that still means something to the rest of the lineup.
You know, I said last night, I think he's getting pretty close to getting in a hot streak.
I see your point. Yeah,
he's seeing a lot of pitches, and you know, to me he's just missing a lot of balls. You look at that ball, he's a little bit out front, but he hit it with some authority.
Well, he's making Markham work.
It was Johnny Damon who drew the key walk in the 9th inning that put runners at first and third after Melky Cabrera had stolen third base, and you know, his jumping around at first base caused the balk by Accardo. It tied up the ball game.
It's an 11-pitch at bat, and now it's going to be a 12-pitch at bat.
You know, it's amazing. He's only hitting 238, but his on-base percentage is over 330. And you think if he was at his normal pace of hitting around 300, his on-base percentage would be great again, like it always, like it usually is.
Up near 40%.
Yes.
Popped up behind the plate. Phillips makes the play. Not an easy play, but he hauled it in for the first out. So a 12-pitch at bat ends in favor of Markham.
You see, this is always a little bit tough at Yankee Stadium because you're running downhill a little bit, and you got the fence to deal with. And he's a guy that's played all over in his career, so hasn't caught a lot of games at Yankee Stadium, and you have to learn the field.
And while Johnny Damon made an out, he made Markham work.
Now, how much is it based in reality that helps Jeter because he saw 12 pitches?
I know if I'm on deck and I see everything he's got, I know he's got to be a little tired after 12 pitches.
So you can really gauge that from the on-deck circle.
You get a chance to see pitch after. The more you can see, the better chance you have to hit.
And I think your point about tiring a pitcher out, you get a guy throwing 20 pitches an inning, he's going to tire pretty quickly. And it may not lead to anything this inning or the second inning, but as you get down the road, he's going to start making mistakes, and that's when you can really, put it on a starting pitcher and get to that middle relief, which is usually the weakest link on any club.
That was a two-seamer, and there's that little look that you were talking about, Joe. Markham thought it was a strike, and so did Phillips.
And Phillips kind of held it and fell to his knees slow. I mean, you have ways of Gibbons thought it was a strike, ways of letting the umpire know without showing up that you think it's a pretty good pitch.
2-1. Grounded to short. John McDonald.
See, managers know the mannerisms of their own players, whether it's the pitcher or the catchers, and that's why Gibbons reacted, because the pitcher and the catcher reacted.
Take a look at the Blue Jays defense behind Sean Markham. In the outfield, 3 good arms, 3 good outfielders. Reed Johnson's in left, Vernon Wells, a Gold Glover in center. Alex Rios is open right in the infield. Gloss, McDonald, Hill, and Overbay. That's third to first. Overbay, an outstanding first baseman. Phillips behind the plate, and Markham is on the mound.
Lyle Overbay is one of my favorite first basemen to watch because of how far he can play off the line on certain right-handed hitters and is able to get back to first base. I remember playing against him, and I'm not sure if I was it was with the Yankees. I mean, he was almost playing at second base on a power right-handed hitter. I don't remember who. Maybe it was Chef, and I was the bench coach with the Yankees. I mean, it was almost like he was at second base.
He is smooth.
There's Bobby Abreu. Just when you think Bobby Abreu has started to turn it around and everything's heading north, he falls into an 0 for 13 slide, which he's in right now. He's just had that sort of season. He'll tease you. Oh, here he is. It's the real Bobby Abreu. And then he starts to struggle again.
Sometimes you can chalk up some of those to the pitchers you face. I mean, when you face Roy Halladay, there's not going to be a lot of hits usually in that game, and that can be part of that slump. But you're right. I mean, he has been as streaky as any hitters I've ever seen.
The 1-2. Just inside.
The thing about it in the past, though, he's been able to toss him some walks along the way when he wasn't hitting. And that's how he would stay in the third spot, because he's important to get on base in front of the big hitters behind him. But this year that hasn't been the case. 8 years in a row he's walked over 100 times.
Not that time. He walks back to the dugout carrying a strikeout. He does not like the call. But Markham, although he threw a lot of pitches, works a 1-2-3 inning. 1 in the books here at the stadium. Blue Jays 1 and the Yankees nothing. Lyle Overbay against Roger Clemens, and the pitch is low. 1-0. So we're underway here in the second inning. RBI single by Troy Gloss in the first, scored Alex Rios, who had tripled earlier in the inning, and that's the only run in the game so far.
We talked about Overbay in the field and how well he plays first base, and it's very effortless, and he has the same sort of swing. It's an effortless swing, very smooth, good hitter. He's only played 6 games since coming off the DL from a fractured hand, and he's hitting all 6 of them.
You know, when guys get that broken hand like he's got, he broke his right hand. John Danks from the White Sox hit him with an inside fastball. They wear that protective pad, and you pointed that out yesterday. Eventually, they get used to it. You see the protective pad on his top hand. They get used to it, and they'll wear it all the time. Jeff Bagwell kind of made that famous because he broke his hand a couple of years in a row getting hit, and he just kept wearing the pad, and it's a hard plastic, and if you get hit, you're all right.
High pop-up, right field. Cano on the outfield grass will put it away for the first out of the second. Tonight's closed captioning is brought to you by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Lexus dealers.
I know that Andres Galarraga used to wear that too, the big cat.
A lot of times it's the guys that dive a little bit. They get hit. You know, they really go in towards the plate, and their hands, they start their hands. You know, Derek Jeter is a guy that wears a pad on his hand because he's been hit a few times, and he's kind of a type of hitter that dives into home plate.
Aaron Hill pops it up. Right field, Abreu. 2 outs.
I think Galarraga hit the longest home run I've ever seen. He hit one at the stadium in Florida. It was Joe Robbie at the time.
Upper deck.
Yeah. Well, it almost went out.
Yeah. I actually saw him hit a long one too, and you might have even been doing that game. I was with the Cubs and he was with the Expos, and it was like he hit it into the dark part of the left field. I mean, it was lights didn't even reach the area where he hit it.
There's a strike to Phillips.
You know he started as a catcher, don't you?
Did he really?
Yeah, that's why he had soft hands. He was a great first baseman.
He was great around the bag, and as big as he was light on his feet. He used to steal bases.
Oh, 2.
Rockets come out dealing this inning.
Does not hit well here at Yankee Stadium. Over his last 18, 172 overall. The 0-2 way outside.
You think that's why the Mets let him go?
Yeah, those 3 games here at the stadium were very important. Now the Blue Jays have me can play 9 games here. Sometimes 10.
It's a little different though if you lose as a Met to the Yankees than a Blue Jay. In the press, that is.
The 1-2. And he's now over his last 19 here in the Bronx. So a 1-2-3 inning for Clemens. He picks up his second strikeout of the night. And we go to the bottom of the second inning at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Toronto 1, the Yankees nothing. An 8-pitch inning for the Rocket. Committed to the Safe at Home Foundation. He's at 18 home runs here at Yankee Stadium.
Here's what you were talking about, Joe. Look how far Overbay is off the line. He's definitely in the hole on the right side with a powerful right-handed hitter at the plate.
My math is poor. 18,000 he's responsible for. $1,000 a home run. So Alex has 18 of the 32 here in the Bronx.
There's a better look at it. You can have a marching band go through there.
I never really played first base except once in an exhibition game. And I tell you what, it was scary to me having to run and find the baseball. You got to run to the bag, and sometimes the ball's on its way from the infielder. I mean, I think that would freak me out if I was Overbay. I'll put the gear on. At least I see the ball coming at me.
Evidently, he's got more than 1 game experience over there.
He's about 35 feet away from first base.
You might even be able to beat him to the bag, Michael.
Me?
Yeah, drag bunt?
No.
Push bunt, maybe?
Nope. We're going to have Lyle Overbay on the batting practice show tomorrow. So we'll ask him about that.
I think it's a good idea. I think you ought to actually try to beat him to first base.
I don't think that would be a good idea.
That's good TV.
It would be good TV, but it wouldn't be a good idea.
That'd be reality for sure.
And a run walks. Here's Hideki Matsui. 12-game hitting streak, hitting .283, really hitting the ball well. In the 10th inning yesterday, almost hit the walk-off 2-run home run, missed a home run in the upper deck by a foot or so. Just missed the foul pole.
He's been hot since the All-Star break.
10 for 26, 385 with 3 home runs. And the pitch is high, 1-0.
Joe, are you aware of the fact that an umpire like Schreiber has a tight zone even before the game starts?
Absolutely. You don't forget those things as a catcher. And I tell you what, who knows more than the catchers or the pitchers?
Okay.
Pitchers will look to see who's coming into town and who they're matching up with.
Who was the tightest home plate umpire when you were catching, that you just dreaded him behind the plate?
Oh, wow. You know, Michael, I don't think I can really answer that.
Now you can. They can't get you anymore.
Well, they can get him next year.
You know, like I said, I think the pitchers remember it more than the catchers. I think as a catcher, you remember the ones that are easier to work with and who you can talk to more than others.
All right, who are the easier ones to work with?
Well, I tell you what, I always enjoyed working with Timmy McClellan. I thought he was great to work with, and you could have your say, and you could talk to him. And Field and Coldbreath, who had the game last night, used to love to work with Frank Pulley. I mean, he was great to work with. I once asked him after this pitch, I'll tell you.
2-1. Changeup.
I once asked him, I was facing Ramon Martinez, and I said, you know, Frank, we got to work together tonight. And I said, I know that pitch you just rung me up was a strike, but I can't hit it, so I don't think you should call it on me. You know, and he just kind of laughed. But you know, the umpires that have a sense of humor and know that, you know, as players you get frustrated and you're going to vent sometimes, and they just look the other way or sometimes even laugh at you in a sense. You know, you don't see it outwardly, but inside they do, and they understand.
This could be 2. There's 1, and there's 2. So Matsui tries to pull the outside pitch, pulls it into a double play.
Yeah, it was started by Aaron Hill, a nice flip to McDonald, and this is that's the way it was drawn up years ago when baseball was started. Here's how a double play should be turned on a hard hit ball to either the shortstop or the second baseman. I'm thinking back to the umpires I liked. Steve Palermo, I thought, was the best ball strike umpire going. And although he wasn't a favorite of the rest of my team, I thought Ken Kaiser was pretty cool.
Oh, he was hilarious.
Oh, he was funny.
The way he'd call the safe call or the out call, he'd have his
left
hands.
He'd use his left hand, yeah.
It's like he was punching someone, you know.
Now, you mentioned that you like McClellan, and from a broadcaster's point of view, he's the worst because he takes forever to call a strike when he's behind the plate. Now, do you know that? Does he say it to you before he raises his hand?
Yes, you hear it. You hear him say it. So, you know, as a player, that doesn't bother you. And, you know, there's a lot of other guys. I think Ed Rapiano's you know, he was always under Frank Pulley, you know, early on.
He kind of reminds me of Steve Palermo.
Yeah, just wonderful to work with.
The 1-1. Always wondered why Major League, because you always hear great things about McClellan, that he's one of the best umpires in the game. Why somebody from baseball wouldn't say you've got to call it quicker, because okay, the catcher knows, but you know, there are 50,000 people here that have paid. They want to know right away too. It just takes his time.
But that's his style, and you're asking someone to change, you know, the style, and you see it from, you know, a broadcasting point of view. But you know, I think the most important part is the game, and then he gets it right.
High drive, deep right center, backing up his Wells. He has room, and right in front of the track, he'll put it away for the final out of the second inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. 8 years ago today, David Cone against the Montreal Expos. A perfect game. Scott Brocious makes the call, the catch. Joe Girardi will embrace David Cone and take all the weight on his back, and then David Cone is lifted off the field. A great moment in Yankee history, one of 3 perfect games pitched in Yankee history. And we want to remind you that at 11 o'clock tonight, Yankeeography, we will look into all of that. Pitcher perfect, so that would be fun. It's going to be David Cone, David Wells, and Don Larson. Now, you caught David Cone's perfect game, and at what point in the afternoon did you think he has perfect game stuff?
I think as we got into the 6th inning, you know, I started thinking about it, you know, because the fans were reacting so much to it. You know, every out that he got, and you kept looking at the scoreboard and knowing that you had to face Vlad Guerrero one more time. That was it, you know. Because to me, on a no-hit bid or a perfect game bid, he's got to be the toughest guy to get out, because you can expand the zone when you get ahead of him, but that doesn't mean you're going to get him out, because he can hit that pitch. But
do you remember how you got him out that time?
I think we were throwing him that frisbee drop down slider. And you just got to get away off the plate, because he's swinging. I mean, that's the one thing he's doing. He's swinging.
Does the nerves level reach World Series level?
Yes, it does. You know, because, you know, for that brief moment, it's, you know, it's not the season is on the line, or, you know, it's just one game, and you start thinking about every pitch that you called and every pattern that you went through as a catcher, and how are you going to get to the out pitch this time on guys like Cabrera, Orlando Cabrera, and Vidro. And so, I mean, it gets to you.
1-1 to Johnson. A bunt. It is a beauty. That's a base hit.
Oh, he mentioned it. Johnson had been struggling somewhat coming off the disabled list, but you know, he went to Cal State Fullerton. He was an academic All-American, so he's smart enough to know that when you're struggling, every once in a while you got to lay down a bunt, and this is a beauty. A-Rod was back, and A-Rod had no play. Johnson could have walked down to first base. A bunt single.
So Reed Johnson trying to get his stroke back. Picks up a base hit there, coming back from back surgery. He's 6 for 36 since coming out the DL. One more thing about the perfect game. Because it was Cone, and I know you guys really were close and had a good relationship, did it mean even more? I mean, it would have meant a lot if it was anybody, but because it was David Cone.
I think so, because of the relationship that we had. And the other thing was the 1996 no-hitter that he had through 7 innings when he came back from the aneurysm in Oakland, and he understood that the playoffs were more important, and that he didn't need to continue pitching because he didn't want to get hurt. And you know, it was special because he did a lot for me in my career here. He was one of the guys that really stuck up for me when, you know, the fans of New York were adjusting from Mike Stanley to me, and he came out, you know, with a lot of support for me and what I did behind the plate. And I tell you what, probably the most creative pitcher I ever caught, and because of that, it was always really enjoyable.
Because he would drop down. Did he let you know when he was dropping down? And
sometimes it would come from me, and other times he would do it, but as long as I knew the pitch, you know, I knew what it was going to do.
How it was going to react.
And sometimes, you know, his arm angle changed depending on which slot felt the best. I mean, it was like he would figure it out in the bullpen and then from inning to inning. So, I mean, he was always creative.
Does it seem like 8 years? Or
No.
Does it seem more?
No, it seems like it was just yesterday, and you watch the highlights and you think, wow, where did the 8 years go?
Now, if you look at the arc of David Cone's career, following that perfect game, he went south. The next year was just abysmal with the Yankees, and he tried to find it. He had his moments here and there, and I remember once I asked him, it's almost like you made a pact. Can I get this perfect game and I'll never win again? I said, if that pact was presented to you, would you have taken it? And he said, I got to be honest with you. He said, I had done everything in my career. I'd won World Series. He said, I probably would have taken it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he would have, you know, because he was such a great pitcher for a long time, and he was always that hired gun, and got to the teams that were always fighting for the playoffs. And, you know, he left everything he had on the mound every night. Throw 140 pitches for you. I mean, now people start looking at the bullpen at 100 pitches. I mean, David Cone would go out and throw 120, 130, 140, and didn't care. Didn't want to come out of the game. I remember Joe Torre going to the mound saying, can you get this guy? And he would look into David Cone's eyes, and he knew David meant, and he said, I could get him, I could get him. And
that happened in the World Series.
Yeah,
yeah,
in Atlanta in Game 4. And actually it was Game 3, and he knew that David Cone meant it.
And I'm sure that people that are watching the broadcast right now, they probably know how we feel about David Cone. One of the great guys, just a regular dude that happened to have extraordinary talent, was a baseball player, and fun-loving, extremely bright, could talk about anything to anybody for as long as you want. He talked 2 minutes before he's going to take them out. And that's just how he was. And it was great to have him here for as long as he was here.
But the other thing is he had that look when he took them out.
Right. Stay away.
Stay away. That's right. It's my day, and I'm going to get these people out. And it was great. I mean, I used to love the intensity that he had. I mean, I can just remember some of the trips to the mound. Some of his comments that he made to me, I used to laugh, turn around, and walk back.
2-2. There's a base hit by Rios. Rios now 2 for 2 against Clemens. Reed Johnson will stop at second.
Well, you can see why Alex Rios was a #1 draft pick. I mean, eventually they thought he would grow into his body, get a little stronger. When he was rail thin when the Blue Jays made him a #1 draft pick. But he has certainly put on a little bit of weight. I mean, he's still not a bulky sort of player, but his added power to his game. In fact, when you look at the Rios, Wells, Gloss, and Thomas, all 4 of them are #1 draft picks. Not by the Blue Jays, but #1 picks. Wells was a #1 pick of the Blue Jays, as well as Rios. Gloss of the Angels. In fact, Gloss and Rios were 2 picks apart in the same draft. And the big hurt, you have to go back to 1989, and the White Sox drafted him #1. So somebody did their scouting and did it well.
And the White Sox at that time had a great string of first-round picks. They had Frank, Robin Ventura, I think Alex Fernandez, and Jack McDowell. I mean, they had quite a run for a while there.
The 0-1.
Now, all 4 of them were college players, weren't they? Yeah. Frank out of Auburn, Jack McDowell, Stanford, and who was the other one you mentioned?
Alex Fernandez.
Miami? University of Miami, I believe.
All but Jack McDowell were part of a World Series team winner.
One 0 Jays. They are threatening here in the 3rd against Clemens. The 0-2.
You go back to the '97 draft, and the Blue Jays had the 5th pick, and they picked Vernon Wells. The Angels had the 3rd pick, and they picked Troy Gloss.
45 pitches for Clemens. 2-to-1 strike to ball ratio.
That's one thing I always like doing is, you know, when Baseball America comes out, looking at the past draft, the first rounders like 10 years ago, to see where the guys are.
One hopper to Jeter. Let's see if they turn 2. There's one. Not in time.
I think Andy Phillips thought that was a double play. You can see the way he was walking the ball back to Roger Clemens. Of course, we get a second chance to see this. Ball wasn't hit all that hard. Jeter had to actually retreat to come up with the hop. There's the flip to Cano. He strong arms at the first. You make the call.
Looks like the heel's possible. That's very close.
That is close.
That's very, very close.
Yeah, Rocket thought he was out too.
That's what Joe said last night. If the pitcher catches the ball with the bare hand, I think it's a bad call. So now here's the dangerous Troy Gloss. Get an RBI single in the 1st inning. Count 0-1.
That call has the fans riled up here at Yankee Stadium. They're still buzzing.
And one final thing about the perfect game. Do you believe in the magic of Larson throwing out the first ball to Berra and then you getting the glove? And
no, I don't really believe in magic. I mean, that's not something that I believe in. But I got to tell you, it's awful strange the things that happen at Yankee Stadium. I mean, the great things that have happened here. And, you know, I feel so lucky to be a part of, you know, the 3 World Series teams, the David Wells and David Cohn perfect games, a no-hitter by Doc Gooden. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of great things that have happened at this park over the years, and I had a chance to be a little part of it.
The triple against the Braves in the World Series. That was you were a bigger part of that, didn't you? At the stadium rocking, Joe. That's got to be a great feeling.
1-1. Now, Yogi used your catcher's mitt and then gave it back to you when he caught the first pitch.
We tried to get him to use one of the little mitts that we always, use to practice, and the kind that he used, but he said, no way, I need a bigger mitt.
That was Yogi Berra Day at the stadium. There was a rain delay, and turned out to be a magical day at the stadium. There's a strike, count 2-2.
The other thing about David Cone that I always thought, not was he only a big game pitcher and a great pitcher, for the Yankees, but he always took the pressure off the other players. When there were tough situations, he would handle the press. He was the guy that people went to and allowed the rest of us to relax.
Two-two. Swing and a miss. He got him on a splitter. Big strikeout for Clemens, as he keeps the Blue Jays off the board. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 stranded because of that strikeout. 8 years ago today, David Cone, baseball immortality. Joe Girardi's right there as a part of it. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. Well, we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning here at Yankee Stadium. The Blue Jays lead the Yankees 1-0. Big strikeout of loss by Clemens on a splitter. So it keeps it at 1-0. Now the Yankee offense will try to do something against Sean Markham. They sent the minimum 6 batters over the first 2 innings. They did draw a walk. That was A-Rod, quickly erased on a double play. So it'll be the bottom 3rd of the order. Robinson Cano against Sean Markham. There's a strike.
Maybe we shouldn't have been surprised that Robinson Cano got the hit in the extra innings last night, because no player in the American League has more hits than Robbie in extra innings. That was his 5th one last night.
And only 2 players have more, both in the National League, Troy Tulowitzki and Hunter Pence, with 6 apiece. Pence, the Astros, and Tulowitzki, the Rockies.
And both of them are rookies.
I've had a chance to see Hunter Pence a couple times. He's a special player, and I'm not so sure he'll always be a center fielder, but he got a very live bat. He's a hard-nosed player. I love the way he plays the game. He's always talking to his teammates and trying to acquire knowledge from his teammates, always picking Craig Biggio's brain. He is a good-looking prospect and player.
Michael and I saw Tulowitzki firsthand in Colorado, and he was special against the Yankees that weekend. He had a home run, played shortstop well. Big shortstop, big, strong young man.
After the Rockies swept the Yankees, they really went down the tubes, but now they've climbed to within 5.5 again in the National League West. Line drive, base hit to right field.
That ball was hit hard, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it had the sound, but when Aaron Hill went to jump for it, then he just decided, nope, this isn't worth the effort. This ball is really rocketed. Pitched right down the middle. The reaction of the second baseman was priceless as Cano is on with a leadoff single here. Nope.
By you.
I can't get this one.
So Cano now is 14 for his last 31. Here's Andy Phillips, who has a hit in 11 of his last 12 games. He's 10 for 28, hitting even 300.
They used to say that Lou Gehrig used to hit balls like by outfielders like that. The way that most guys hit line drives by infielders.
Kind of got lost in all the excitement, but Andy Phillips started the Yankee rally in the 9th inning yesterday, down 2-1. He led off and he singled, and then Cairo pinch ran for Hitman, promptly stole second base. So that was a big hit for Andy Phillips, the 0-1. 1-1. Grounded towards short. They'll get one on to first. Double play, beautifully turned double play, 6-4-3, started by McDonald.
Well, you can see why they love John McDonald's defense. The quickness that he turns this ball. I mean, this is not an easy double play at all. You see how quickly he gets rid of this ball. He's able to stop his slide, bracing himself with his right foot, and then Aaron Hill goes behind the bag, so Robinson Cano cannot get to him. You see him go step behind the bag, so Robbie can't get to him. Makes a strong throw to Overbay, and that's a nifty double play.
That was well turned.
I mean, that's a ball that's hit. You say no way. They turn this double play, and all of a sudden, they did it.
I'll tell you what. I know there's such a thing as a neighborhood play. He was not in the neighborhood. His foot was not on second base when he received the throw.
You're talking about Hill.
Hill.
Yeah. It was close. Here's the ball. Glove. Maybe not, Michael.
I don't think so.
He was still arriving at the destination. Is that what you're saying?
It's a big neighborhood. Let's put it that way.
Okay. That's what I was talking about, though, last night. That Brian Butterfield, the third base coach, is turning this guy into an all-star second baseman. He's a good hitter, and he's learning how to play the bag.
High fly ball, right center. Vernon Wells is there, very smoothly makes the play for the final out of the third. No runs a hit, no errors, and because of the no play, nobody left. We go to the fourth, 1-0. Well, we go to the fourth inning. 20 years ago, Don Mattingly made some history, homering in his 8th straight game. So a historic day in Yankee history. David Cohn's perfect game and Mattingly's 8th consecutive game with a home run. He tied Dale Long. Later, Ken Griffey Jr. also joined them. So the three of them hold that record.
How about that load sitting on that back leg?
Yeah.
Broken bat over the head of Cano and into right field. We'll tie it all together now with the Aflac trivia question, because that's what we do. I think you're going to get one of these, Joe. Off whom did Don Mattingly hit a home run in his 8th consecutive game? That was in '87. And who made the last out in David Cohn's perfect game? Now, you know that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're not allowed to say it.
No.
Don't want to ruin the fun.
I know Mattingly hit that home run to left center. I'm trying to picture the ball leaving the pitcher's hand.
Well, it was against Texas.
Yes, it was. It was in Texas.
At the old Arlington Stadium.
The scooter was calling the game.
That one's driven to center field. Melky Cabrera is there. And Overbay is retired as Thomas heads back to first.
About 3 or 4 holy cows later, Mattingly touched home plate.
You know how jaded, the press can be sometimes? Well, I was covering the team then for the New York Post, and people just had their jaws dropping. I mean, when he hit that home run, every day he had another home run. It was just an amazing run. Everything he touched left the ballpark. I think that was also the year that he had 6 grand slams.
The only 6 of his career. All in one year.
Pretty amazing to have 24 ribbies on 6 swings.
It's being locked in. It was his league. Everybody was just playing it.
When you witness those moments with Mattingly, and then you look back at his career, you look back with a tinge of sadness, because you wonder what might have been if he had not hurt his back, because he was, quite frankly, one of the best players ever. I mean, he just went on a run that he dominated the sport, and then his body gave out. And boy, did he try. He tried everything.
I'll tell you what, before Old Timers Day this year, I saw him in the clubhouse, and he was stretching his back, getting ready for the Old Timers game, just doing some exercises. He said, well, I've been getting a little lax lately. I don't want to go out there and injure myself.
And it was an ordeal every day for him to get ready to play, just to get his back to the point where he could play. Squibb inside first and down the right field line by Hill. Thomas will go to third. Hill's going to stop right there at first, and the Blue Jays have runners on the corners with 1 out.
Well, there's where the lack of speed actually helps you, because they're not holding on Frank Thomas. He's playing behind him, and if he's holding him on, Andy Phillips probably gets this ball and maybe turns a double play, but he slaps it right past Andy Phillips. See Andy Phillips behind Frank Thomas and then moving to his right, and then this ball gets beyond him. It's funny how what happens in games sometimes.
You're right. He had time to step on the bag and then go after Frank later.
Frank would have only been halfway there.
There's Jason Phillips with runners on the corners and 1 out. 6 hits the Jays have against Clemens. Kansas City leads the Red Sox 2-0 in the 4th inning. Now the Yankees will play Kansas City 4 games next week in KC, and one thing you have to say about the Royals, they're not a pushover. They have played good baseball the last couple of months.
You know, their bullpen is pretty good. Gil Mesh has thrown the ball pretty well for him this year. They have some young players that are exciting. I've always been a fan of DeJesus in center field. I think he's a pretty good center fielder, pretty good leadoff guy.
Local guy from New Jersey.
Reggie Sanders came back.
Yeah, he did. Gruzzalonic, just enough of a veteran presence on the team. Gruzzalonic at second.
Gotel's doing very well as kind of a setup closer sort of guy in the bullpen.
John Buck, the catcher, is having a good year.
Alex Gordon, their young third base prospect. He's not having a very good year, but he seems to be improving every month.
Well, they have a good GM now, and it's going to take him some time, but he'll make the right moves. Dayton Moore was with the Braves working under John Sherholtz, and now he's a general manager with Kansas City. He's a smart guy, and if it can be done on a small budget, a guy like Dayton Moore will be able to do it. And it's been proven it can be done on a small budget in Oakland and Minnesota. You have to make the right moves. Can't make too many mistakes.
It's where the draft becomes so important. The people that are scouting players.
Soft ground ball to Alex Rodriguez. He goes the second one on to first. How about that? A double play. A slowly hit ball, but Jason Phillips not too quick. And they turn it 5-4-3 as Clemens gets out of another jam. A-Rod ranges to the glove side. He flips it over to Cano with a runner right on him. Cano off balance throw in the dirt, scooped up by Phillips. And of course, and the 3-0 to Damon, and he walks on 4 pitches. Damon's now walked in 10 of 11 games. Here's that Mattingly home run against Guzman.
Hey, did he get all of it?
Yeah, Scooter.
Holy cow, he did it! Holy cow, Mattingly is unbelievable.
He's unbelievable.
Well, we know there were at least 2 holy cows by second base.
Yeah. So that's about 4.
Yeah.
For a full trip around.
Here's Jeter with a runner on first.
You know, you might look for the Yankees to do something here, put some runners in motion. He's gotten a couple double play balls. He's a pretty good sinker. You got the right combination with Jeter and Johnny Damon. Might see a little movement here. Good count, 1-0.
Yeah, he's forced into throwing a strike. He hasn't thrown one yet this inning.
Runner goes, and a beautifully executed hit and run. Hill went to cover, and Jeter hit it through the vacated side. Yesterday they covered with the shortstop. Today they covered with the second baseman, and Jeter with the base hit.
You think it's a case of them giving Jeter too much credit that he might pull the ball tonight, but this is a beautifully executed. Johnny Damon just scoots all the way to third. Watch the hole on the right side open up. There goes the baseball. Damon, it's like a door opening up. Johnny Damon can scoot all the way to third. 3/4 of the way home.
And the other reason they might have had the second baseman cover, and it's a breaking ball, it's something a little bit slower. Sometimes they do it by the type of pitch it is. If it's a fastball, you might think he might be a little late. He might have the shortstop cover, but Derek Jeter hit it in the right spot.
Here's Bobby Abreu. He struck out looking in the first inning, hitless in his last 14 at bats.
Ooh. He was thinking 3.
Popped up. That will not get a run in. Backing up is McDonald. And he makes the catch. Damon tagged just to draw the throw. And there's one away. Let's take a look at tomorrow's starting pitchers, brought to you by Verizon Fios. Make the switch to Verizon Fios, TV, internet, and phone. Dustin McGowan will go for the Jays, 5-5, 5.05. Chin-Ming Wang gets start for the Yankees. He'll go for his 11th win. He's 3.43 with an ERA. Coverage starts at 12 p.m., of course, with our batting practice show, 12:30 pregame, and right around 107 to 109 with the first pitch. Here's Alex Rodriguez. He walked in the second inning. Boy, Markham brings it up a notch when there were runners on base, especially in scoring position. With that pop out by Damon, or check that by Abreu, opponents are now 13 for 70. That's 186 against Markham when he has runners in scoring position.
Well, he always has that ability to get that double play ball with that sinker, and it probably gets him out of a lot of situations. And if you're Alex here, you want to look for something up, try to drive it into the outfield and try to stay away from that sinker.
In that regard, Joe, with the count 2-0, this is where you can pick what you want. Now, if he makes a good pitcher's pitch, you just say, all right, you know, let's see you do it again. With the count 2-0, now it's time to do some business.
See, Markham stepped off, put down changeup, slider.
Count 3-0.
You let him go, Joe?
Got to.
All right.
I mean, you got to let Alex go. I mean, he's been your RBI guy all year. So far, he's shown that he wants no part of Alex. He walked him the first time, I think, on 4 straight pitches. I don't blame him, as hot as this guy's been, you know, all year.
So you're saying you would rather load the bases and let him hit?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you got to, you know, Matsui's been hot too. I mean, Alex hasn't had the greatest month of July, but I mean, he's been such a great RBI guy.
And they did turn him loose, and he threw him an off-speed pitch on 3-0.
Well, this is called not giving in to the hitter. You know, you know, A-Rod's up there looking for the optimum pitch, something he could really hit, fastball. So you go to the exact opposite, a changeup, and you get him out in front, pick up a strike.
(3-1). This could be a double play. There's one, and there's two. A 4-6-3 double play. So Markham works out of trouble. The Yankees had runners on first and third and nobody out, and they don't get it done. No runs a hit, no errors, and one man left on base. We played 4 here at the stadium. Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting quarterback job.
Jeff Garcia, right?
Yeah, they signed him, much to Chris Sims' chagrin.
What about Ed Delaney's?
Ed Delaney, oh, or Ed Delaney, who loves the Eagles. Well, they've got Donovan McNabb back, so they're okay. Pitch is high. Count 2-1.
McDonald came in tonight 0 for 12, and that's one reason why Clayton got some playing time, and with an out, he's 0 for 13 now. But as you can see, his worth to the Blue Jays is not so much with his bat, but with his glove. He's got the quick hands, and he's been involved in 3 double plays.
You know, you talked about the work that Brian Butterfield has done with Aaron Hill, and obviously he's worked a lot with McDonald as well. He was a big part of Orlando Hudson winning the Gold Glove, and Brian Butterfield really cut his teeth in the Yankee organization. Actually was a player and then worked as a coach. Was a coach with Buck Showalter when Buck was a Yankee manager, and he is considered one of the best coaches in baseball. Just his work ethic. And I was actually talking to John Gibbons the other day, the manager of the Blue Jays, and Gibbons paid him the ultimate compliment. He goes, I wish this guy gets a job one day as a manager. He said he deserves it. He goes, I just don't know if he ever will. He goes, I don't know about the name. I don't know about if it's big enough, how he'll deal with the media. He said, but in terms of knowing the game, being ahead of everybody else, he said, this guy's phenomenal. That's a nice thing for managers to say.
And that's quite a compliment, you know. And
right back up the middle, and a base hit for Reed Johnson, his second of the night.
And obviously, when you have someone like that on your staff, I mean, you want him to be able to manage someday, but you don't want to lose him too quickly.
Now, when the Yankees were in Toronto, and there was a stolen base of home against Andy Pettitte.
Yeah.
Very quietly, the Blue Jays all gave credit to Brian Butterfield, because Brian Butterfield studies tapes of pitchers to just pick up that one moment that maybe he could use it one time out of every 2 years, and it worked against Andy Pettitte.
It was Aaron Hill.
Runner goes, and the ball is fouled away. And here is that steal of home by Aaron Hill.
Andy Pettitte was watching the man on first base, and before he came set, Aaron Hill took off. And before the pitch was even made, Brian Butterfield told Aaron Hill, you're hot, which means if you get a chance, you go ahead. And if I remember correctly, that was a 3-2 ball game. It was a 3-2 ball game. Blue Jays won.
Just missed outside. Clemens wanted that one. Count 1-1.
It was Markham who started that game and got a no decision.
See this pitch just off the plate, but that's a pitcher's pitch, and pitchers are always going to want that pitch, as well as catchers. And I wouldn't think that, you know, with Reed Johnson going on the first pitch, I don't really believe that would be a hit and run with Alex Rios. The way he swings the bat, you hate to take. He's got 2 hits off of Clemens. You hate to take the bat out of his hands, make him swing at a bad pitch.
There's a base hit to left field by Rios. He is 3 for 3 against Clemens as Reed Johnson advances to second.
Rios is he made the All-Star team for the first time this year. That's not going to be his last time making the All-Star team. And a couple of years ago, the Blue Jays were actually entertaining thoughts of trading him. There was rumors he was going to Philadelphia. You'd almost heard him just about every day. But the Blue Jays decided to hold on to him. Supposedly Brett Myers, a pitcher for the Phillies, who was supposed to be involved with that deal. And it just didn't work out. And I think the Blue Jays should feel fortunate they didn't trade him on to Philadelphia.
There's a strike to Vernon Wells. Rios had come into this game 2 for his last 16, but he is 3 for 3 today.
You know, the one thing that Reed Johnson has done at first base and at second base, he's got Rogers' attention. Tried to pick him off a couple times at first, a little spin move, and sometimes that can be because you want to change the pitch selection, but I think he's got his attention a little bit.
Fly ball center field. Melky Cabrera will make the catch. Tagging is Reed Johnson. He just draws the throw. Melky, his arm is starting to get around. So they're 2 away.
I'm not sure what that pitch was, but it had Vernon Wells way out in front. His front side came open, and he got decent wood on it. That's why the ball went to medium center field. But watch his front side just fall right out here. Yeah, he didn't have his best swing at it. just enough. You can see that he's out in front. Got good wood on it, but got it into center field, and that was about all. Couldn't drive it.
Now it's Clemens against Gloss. Gloss with the only RBI in the game. Single in the first to drive in a run. Pitches outside. Along with Ken Singleton and Joe Girardi, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball right here on the Yes Network. We thank you for joining us on this Wednesday evening. Jays lead the Yankees 1-0, top of the fifth. So far, the rain has held up. And the count 2-0 to Gloss. Clemens has given up hits, but he's gotten tough when he had to. Gotten the big outs. So in 4 2/3, he's allowed 8 hits so far. And the Jays have stranded 4 runs. They have 2 runners on right now with 2 outs. And the 2-0. 3-0. The big hurt is on deck.
Jays have done I should say the Yankees have done a pretty good job of holding the Jays hitters intact at the right time. Jays left 12 men on last night, and they left 12 men on the night before.
There's a strike.
Well, the Yankee pitchers have made some big pitches at the right time. And this is another one of those situations.
The 3-1. Hit sharply right at Jeter. He'll get the force at second, and that will do it here in the fifth. No runs, 2 hits. No errors, and 2 more runners left on base. We're halfway through. Blue Jays 1-0 over the Yankees. The 5th inning. Blue Jays lead the Yankees 1-0 on the Corona Extra scoreboard. 1-8-0, beating 0-2-0. The Jays have had their opportunities, but Roger Clemens getting tough when he needs to, keeping them off the board, except in that first inning. Matsui against Markham. Markham's had a good game. There's a strike.
And he's gotten the benefit of 3 double plays behind him that have gotten him out of trouble. Matsui hit into 1 after A-Rod had drawn a leadoff walk in the 2nd inning.
Popped up. Gloss gives it a look and runs out of room. Yankees in another close game now. Amazingly enough, they're looking for their 4th straight win of 1 or 2 runs differential. Now they've won 3 in a row in that sort of game. Now you say, well, that's not bad, but there's a number that's just shocking. The Yankees as a team are 12-25 in 1 or 2 run games. Popped up left field. Reed Johnson coming on. There's 1 away. So you might ask, well, where does that stand in the major leagues? That's the worst record of a team in 1 and 2 run games in the major leagues. The Yankees have the worst record, and it's just hard to believe. And the only thing that makes you think, well, how did it get to that point, has to be the bullpen.
And over the years, those are the games that you used to see the Yankees pull out one way or another.
Yep. Here's Posada. Broken bat, ground ball over Bay. And there's 2 away. But with the Yankees' recent streak, they've gone 3 games over 500. That's their high water mark. They've done that once before this year on 6/17. So June 17th. And they're trying to, for the first time this year, go 4 games over.
You know, the interesting thing for me when you watch a guy like Sean Markham, if you were to scout a guy like Sean Markham, you wouldn't really necessarily, he lights it up because he doesn't throw particularly hard. But the one thing that he's able to do, he's able to sink his fastball, keep it down in the zone, And he's been able to change speeds at any time. You saw him throw a 3-0 changeup to Alex Rodriguez. Then he threw him a 3-1 breaking ball in a tough situation. And it's not always about how hard you throw. It's where you throw it and how you're able to locate and change speeds. And for a 25-year-old starter in the big leagues, he's pretty mature.
Another thing about him that I like, he works fast. And to me, that always tells the hitter that you're on the defensive. The pitcher's coming right after you. The guys who I felt were out there holding the ball, didn't want to throw it, to me that was an indication as a hitter they were kind of afraid to throw it because they knew somebody was going to hit it and they might not get it back.
There's a strike to Cano and the count 3-1.
See, Markham's ready. Again, this is a nice hitter's trick there. You step out, slow him down.
Bernie Williams used to do that very well.
Bernie was great at it, especially in key situations. He'd get to that 3-2 pitch, and the pitcher's ready to go. And Bernie, wait a minute. I'm the one that's going to dictate the pace of the at-bat.
There was a guy on the other side of town that was pretty good. He's a broadcaster. Keith Hernandez.
Oh, he would step out.
Oh, my goodness.
High fly ball left field. Reed Johnson is there, and it's a 1-2 inning for Sean Markham against the Yankees. We have played 5 here at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Blue Jays lead the Yankees 1-0 here on Yankee. Frank Thomas takes a strike from Roger Clemens as we go to the 6th here at Yankee Stadium. 1-8-0 for the Blue Jays, 0-2-0 for the Yankees. A couple of well-pitched ball games 2 days in a row. Yesterday, Halladay against Pettit. Today, Markham against Clemens.
You know, after watching these last few games in Tampa, you just get the feeling that the Yankees are somehow going to win this game. And that's what happens when you start winning those type of games. And Rogers held Toronto in check. Markham's held the Yankees in check. But you just got that. It's a different feeling now.
Royals have retaken the lead from the Red Sox at Fenway Park. It's 5-4 now, Kansas City over Boston. So we're keeping an eye on that one for you. The 2-1. High fly ball, left center field. Cabrera is there. And there's one away. So Thomas is retired. He's 1 for 3. Clemens comes into this game at 2-4. Now, last year, ironically enough, after 7 starts with the Astros, he was 2-4. And he finished very strong.
You know, you think about Roger Clemens so far this year, he was 1-3 with a 5-3 in June. And to me, that was still an extension of his spring training, him getting ready. In July, he's 1-1 with an ERA under 3 and throwing the ball very well again tonight. I mean, I just think the Yankees needed him and they had to get him here. I just don't think it was quite enough starts for him
to get ready.
Yes.
It wasn't like the full complement of spring training.
The 6 starts that you get in spring training where you work up from 30 pitches to 45 to 60. But the Yankees need him and Roger was willing to go.
They got him out of Texas.
Texas and Tennessee was.
You know, the amazing thing, he talks about that first start that he had, and he pitched well. He said, but the only thing on his mind was he didn't want to hurt his legs. He said, because he just wasn't ready physically, lower body. He said, I kept trying to keep it in check, that I didn't extend myself too much because I could have pulled a groin or a hamstring, something like that. And that's the thing that goes on Clemens, not the upper body, it's the lower body. I would think when you're pitching like that, it's probably almost like pitching on ice. You're trying not to slip.
Yeah.
Got the Texas Longhorn logo on the tongue of his spikes. Funny thing is that Clemens, I believe, was selected in the 11th pick of the first round when he came out of Texas. And the big thing was that the scouts thought that he wouldn't hold up. He just had the type of delivery that he was not going to hold up. He was probably going to be injured and not last a long time. Now, speaking of coming back, Phil Hughes, who many people compare to Roger Clemens, these are his numbers on the rehab route back to the Bronx. Double-A Trenton against Binghamton. 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, walked 2, struck out 5, and threw 57 pitches.
And you would think that his next start, they might let him get up to 75, and then after that, maybe one more where he'll get to 90, and he'd be ready to come back. That's who the Yankees wanted.
75, then increase it by 15.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's kind of how they do it in spring training.
Pitch the hill. Now, you guys were in Texas when he was pitching that no-hitter and blew out his hamstring, along with Bobby Mercer. And boy, what a bad break, because he blows out his hamstring, and then as he's rehabbing that, he turns his ankle. So that's why he's been gone as long as he has been.
Yeah, I think I told Joe and Bobby that it was one of the most disappointing games I'd ever broadcast, because you could see the momentum building towards this young man in what was his second major league start. Working on a no-hitter against a pretty good hitting ball club in a good hitting ballpark. And to me, it had all the appearances of he was going to do it. And then we never were able to find out.
The 0-1. Line drive, base hit, the 9th base hit for the Blue Jays. Overbay is going to go for third. He'll make it, and then moving in behind the throw is Hill. That was not a good throw by Johnny Damon, because you want to keep Hill at first to keep the double play in order.
Well, it's a new look for Johnny Damon, because he's going away from third base and has to kind of turn and throw. And, you know, he's used to seeing everyone in front of him playing center field. So, I mean, these are the things that he's going to have to get used to as he plays left field. It's just a different angle. And you got to understand the base runners and the importance of keeping the double play in order.
And you also know one of the things that goes around the league, you try and take an extra base on Johnny Damon if you can.
Well, the Yankees will bring the infield in, and Posada will talk with Clemens, and gives us time to remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the aforementioned New York Yankees.
You ever think about how many times you've read that or memorized it? Or
I have not memorized it. You take that sheet away, I'm lost. There's Jason Phillips with the infield in, and there's a strike.
They're more in on the right side than they are on the left. Derek Jeter's about maybe a little bit more than halfway. And the Yankees thinking here is that I think if Markham were not pitching so well, they might keep the infield at least back on the left side.
Scott Proctor warming for the Yankees. The 0-1. Popped up. Right field. Abreu has a great arm. Tagging is Overbay. The catch is made. The throw is cut off by Phillips, and Overbay stays put.
Again, Roger Clemens is making the pitches when he has to, and Bobby Abreu gets behind this ball and makes a good strong throw and hits the cutoff man, and Lyle Overbay makes a break, but he sees that the ball is on target and on line, and he has to stop. Brian Butterfield tells him to tag, and then pretty easy to stop on that one. That's an easy read.
Now, what could this conference be about?
Well, just talking about how you want to approach, you know, McDonald. You have to worry about, you know, he could possibly lay down a drag bunt here, and, you know, talk about maybe changing the signs if you think you need to change the signs. But I think it's how you're going to approach McDonald here and make sure, you know, you're on the same page. You're probably telling Alex, watch for the drag or the push to Andy Phillips.
See, Alex is even with the bag at third.
Jays are 1 for 9 tonight with runners in scoring position. They have already stranded 6. We're in the 6th. It's 1-0 Blue Jays. The only run in the first inning. 1-0. 0 for 2 for McDonald tonight. He's 0 for his last 14. More good news for Yankee fans at Fenway Park as the Royals tag on a run, so it's 6-4 in the bottom of the 5th inning. And the 1-1. So one strike away from getting out of another jam. And a crowd of over 50,000 will get very loud. Two and two.
You know, Michael, as you listen to the crowd there, you think about this was a big part of the thrill of playing at Yankee Stadium. You see this ball's up and in, about how the fans are into it and understand the importance of these games and these situations.
All started with him, Ron Guidry, when he got 2 strikes on the hitters 30 years ago.
3 and 2.
And we threw that fastball up and in the pitch before, and he tried to make it look the same with that slider inside, and he just left it a little bit too far inside. And that's what pitching is all about, making all your pitches look alike, and all of a sudden they have that late movement, and the ball goes a different way, and the hitter gives up on it. You see the fastball, he'll go up and in, and it runs into the hitter a little bit. And then he's going to start this slider basically in the same spot, and it just doesn't break back across the plate enough. He stays inside.
3-2 the pitch. Just got a piece. Checking to see if Proctor is ready. Looks like he is. Clemens has thrown 98 pitches, a good strike to ball ratio. He has seemingly been in trouble every single inning, but he's gotten out of trouble every single inning except for the first, the RBI single by Gloss. Overbay's at third, Hill's at second. John McDonald is at the plate. 2 outs, top of the 6th inning, a 1-0 Blue Jay lead. Clemens winds, kicks, and deals, and he's going to get out of another jam. Robinson Cano makes the play, and that'll do it. The Blue Jays have stranded 8 over 6. No runs a hit, no errors, and 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. 1-0 Toronto. Right-handers coming into this game. 190 batting average against Markham. Slow ground ball is short. Charging McDonald. Off-balance throw, 1 away. Hey, if you get a chance, stop by and visit our friends at J&R Music and Computer World. Here's Melky Cabrera. He has a 13-game hitting streak, and he is flied out to center in the 3rd inning.
Looking at the right side of the infield, they're fairly. Melky's been bunting and picking up hits lately. Yep. Sometimes you just feel it coming.
Solo home run by Manny Ramirez closes the deficit to 1 for the Red Sox. Royals lead 6-5, bottom of the 5th. Right now, Markham is pitching to just 1 man over the minimum. Yankees have left just 1 runner on base. 75 pitches for Markham. The 2-1. Popped up. Sure-handed Overbay is there. Got him on the changeup for the 2nd out.
Tell you what, this young man really mixes his pitches well, whether it's his throw that slow hook, he'll throw some sliders, some cutters, some sinkers.
And they're quality pitches too. That's, you know, every once in a while you throw that changeup up there and it's not in a good spot. Somebody will hit it, or you either show it too much, or you throw a curveball that hangs. I haven't seen many hangers tonight. They've all had sharp breaks on them. His fastball's had just enough movement.
And the other thing that he doesn't do, he doesn't miss over the middle.
Yeah.
When he misses either in or out, it seems like.
And he works fast. He's coming right at you.
That one's looped into left field. Reed Johnson is right there, and that's going to do it. A 1-2-3 inning for Markham. He's faced 19 batters over 6 innings. We go to the second.
As you talked about, since he came off the DL, 6 for 35 coming into tonight, and that little bunt base hit.
A little confidence booster.
Got him out of that slump a little bit, maybe.
I should have thought of that years ago.
Check swing by Johnson. Did he go? No, said Tim McClellan. And a leadoff walk.
Count was 0-2 at one time to Reed Johnson. And started to nibble a bit. Couldn't get him to chase. And Reed Johnson takes ball 4.
Now they're saying that he was hit by a pitch.
Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, they're saying don't call it a walk. Call it a hit by pitch.
Wow. Well, he's been in his career, he's been hit by a pitch 20 times or more twice in a season. Maybe just clipped his elbow there.
I don't think that ball hit him. You know, because I think if it hits him, he shows the umpire.
I think he knows one way or the other. He's going to first. So it's a hit by pitch?
That's what the official scorer said.
And I didn't see the umpire signal hit by pitch.
No, I didn't either.
And they appeal. Well, they appealed to first base, but you can appeal to first base. A guy swinging gets hit. It's still a swing.
Right back up the middle of base hit. Rios is 4 for 4. Almost took off Proctor's head.
Well, this fastball just gets too much of the middle of the plate. And he's hit a split off of Roger Clemens, and he hits this fastball right back up the middle. And that's the old Chuck and Duck.
Like I said, it's not going to be the first year that Rios makes the All-Star team.
No, and you see Scott Proctor just getting out of the way to protect himself.
That is the third time that Rios has had 4 hits in a game this year.
You hear the murmurs in the crowd, and so many people want to jump on Proctor when he doesn't do well. And the same thing with Farnsworth, who really got booed loudly last night. But all you have to do is look at their stuff, and then you understand why a team or a scout or a manager can be intoxicated by what they bring to the table. You just have to harness it. But Scott Proctor has great stuff.
People love velocity, especially the back end of the bullpen, because they figure they can get away with some of their mistakes and they don't have to be perfect. Back end guys usually only need 2 pitches to be successful. Scott Proctor has a pretty good curveball. He also has a slider and a changeup. Get up to 95, 96.
Now Proctor comes into tonight's game having given up only 1 run in his last 8 2/3 innings, and that run was actually a home run to Alex Rios on Monday in the 6th inning.
Focus here has to be getting an out, and you're trying to get a double play ball from Wells, but you have to make sure that you don't get too distracted by the runner at second base. You got to hold the ball a little bit, just give 1 look, maybe 2 looks, but your focus has to be getting Wells out.
See Bruni and Myers. Johnson at second. Rios is at first. Popped up right field. And Cano calls off Abreu for the first out.
Hey, Vernon Wells is not having the type of year the Blue Jays expected. I mean, he's supposed to be one of the top run producers in the league, and while he has driven in 50 runs and has 13 home runs and has shown flashes as Cano makes the catch, it is not the production that you can see him shaking his head. He knows it too.
He's had a chance to drive a run in the first, the third, and now the seventh, and hasn't come through yet.
And he knows what it's like to drive in 100 runs.
Blue Jays 1 for 11 tonight with runners in scoring position. And Loss fouls it off. That pop-up by Wells. Now, Cano has really good range, but isn't that Bobby Abreu's ball because he's coming in?
You know, Bobby Abreu could have called him off, but I think because he was camped under it, he probably said, you know, I'm not going to mess this up and, you know, run into each other. You know, the infield fly is called, so even if Robbie drops it, you're probably still going to get a force out. So I think because he was camped under it, he let him take it. That's one of Scott Proctor's, one of the 2 breaking balls that he has. That's the slider. And now he's got a chance, you know, maybe to go upstairs with Gloss with a high fastball and then throw him another breaking ball. You know, he's got some options. He could try to throw him a slider off the plate again.
You see, when you start nibbling too much, all of a sudden it gets to 3 and 2.
Yes.
And then the pendulum starts to swing back towards the hitter. Every time you miss with a pitch from this point on and the hitter doesn't go for it, the pendulum starts to swing a little bit back towards him. The odds are get a little bit more in his favor.
You know, I just don't understand. He doesn't have a big lead. All he's doing is jumping around a little bit, and I don't think that he can steal third base. You know, where he is, and you know, I talked. Scott Proctor's focus has to be now on getting Gloss out. He's got Troy Gloss down 0-2. Make a pitch and get him out, and I don't think he can steal third. I would actually like him to go because I think Jorge Posada will throw him out from that distance.
Loss stays alive. We're in the top of the 7th inning here at the stadium. It's 1-0 Blue Jays. Blue Jays have picked up 10 hits in this game, 9 against Clemens, 1 here against Proctor. And the Yankees have had just 2 hits against Sean Markham over the first 6. Yankees have taken the first 2 games of this 4-game set. And if the Blue Jays end up losing this game, they will rue all these wasted opportunities.
As they've had in the first 2 games.
John Gibbons' team has had a lot of difficulty winning games on the road this year. 19-29. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. Tight slider diving down and away. 2 outs.
They got Gloss to chase one as we look at the sequence of pitches. Good fastball fouled back. Good slider swung on and foul tip. Chased another one. Just got a piece of it. Tried to check. Nope, couldn't get a piece of that one. Back to the dugout. Yeah, he definitely went around too far.
Here's Frank Thomas.
You know, for a guy who's hit so many home runs, Thomas over 500 home runs, he has walked more times than he has struck out in his career. You know, I know he's an imposing figure, and it certainly was back in the early 90s. And pitchers will just walk him. He's not going to steal many bases. But he has walked over 1,500 times, and I think he struck out like 1,200.
501 home runs. He's 4th on the list for active home run leaders. Bonds first, Sosa, Griffey. And Manny, that's up to date with his home run tonight, 484. Three and 0 with Overbay on deck.
Frank didn't even look at the third base coach. They tell you
he's hitting.
If he's ordering out right now.
And this is what you're paying him to do, drive in runs. 5th spot in the order.
Check swing.
He was swinging.
And a walk, so the bases are loaded with Jays.
That was base on balls number 1,600 in Frank's career.
Now they have the bases loaded, 2 outs. Mike Myers comes to the plate against Lyle Overbay. Overbay is 1 for 5 lifetime against Myers. Although Myers this year has had a lot of trouble getting out left-handers. Pitch outside. Lefty batters against Myers this year, 327. Overbay, great numbers with the bases loaded. Now righties against Myers this year, 164. Kind of almost like Bizarro world.
That's when you put together a team, that's not what you expect your left-hander, your situational left-hander to do. And you know, the signature pitch for Mike Myers against lefty has always been that sweep and breaking ball. First one went too far outside.
There's a strike. So the count 1-2.
Second one he got over, and now he gets ahead in the count, trying to go in. Posada does a nice job of framing this ball, getting this strike.
Big moment in the game. A hit gives the Blue Jays, Markham, the bullpen some breathing room. Myers gets Overbay, gives the Yankees even greater hope over the final 3 innings of at-bats.
It will be interesting to see how Markham responds coming out after this long layoff, because he was locked in. Both sides innings were fairly quick, and he wasn't having a long time. You wonder if he possibly stiffened up a little bit, and if he'll be sharp for that first hitter.
Yeah, we were talking about he was going through some gyrations out there, as if something wasn't quite right.
Hit sharply right at Phillips. He'll make the play. He'll flip to Myers, and Myers comes on and gets the job done. The Blue Jays are now 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position tonight, and they've left 11 runners on base. At the end of 6.5, it's time for the 7th inning.
Done.
Two to Jeter. Missed inside, count full at 3-2. Markham deals. There's a base hit to right field for Jeter.
Well, leading off an inning, you know the pitcher doesn't want to walk anybody in a tight contest. And once you get the count down to 3-2, watch how much of the plate this one catches. Joe made the point earlier in the game that Markham has hung out on the corners. Something you're not supposed to do when you're a youngster, but on the pitching mound, you're supposed to throw the ball towards the corners. He got the 3-2. He had to catch plate. Derek Jeter got a base hit.
You know, he tried to throw the pitch before, the little cut fastball inside, and he missed inside, and it's almost like he overcompensated there. He was trying to do it again, and that ball just got too much of the plate.
You know, one thing Markham has stayed away from tonight, he leads the Blue Jays in home runs allowed with 16.
Now Abreu in a little bit of a slump. He's known to try to bunt sometimes when he's not swinging the bat well. Not this time as he takes a pitch outside. Abreu 0 for 2 tonight, 0 for his last 15.
Well, if you're Bobby Abreu here, this is when you look to hook that ball between the hole at first and second, because there's a huge hole. You see, you're trying to hit this ball right somewhere in between here if you can. Look for something slow, or a lot of guys are very good at going out and hooking fastballs.
And Scott Downs.
1-0. 2-0.
Now you got Markham in a situation where, again, he has to look, maybe catch a little bit too much of the plate.
And again, you got to count that you could maybe start the runner.
A-Rod on deck. Throws a strike. Doesn't give in. Outside corner at the knees.
Yeah, that's why you take those 2-0 pitches like that.
Now Brandon Lee joins Scott Downs. Runner goes. Grounded past the diving Overbay and into right field. Jeter will go to third. Ball is bought by Rios, but he recovers and fires home. First and third, nobody out. Yankees are set up.
All of a sudden here you got Markham starting to fall behind on some counts. And once again, you can see that pitch towards the middle of the plate. And that's what that hole is there for. Even Lyle Overbay.
I like the reaction of Phillips. You saw him kind of, you know, he kind of said, gosh darn it, you know, the catcher. And you see Rios, this ball hits the heel. And because he got to it quickly, Jeter wasn't able to score. And with nobody out, you're not going to send Jeter.
And look at the throw.
Yeah, right on the money.
That was a better strike than Markham threw.
See Derek Jeter, and he knows that he can make third. He never hesitates, doesn't need to pick up Larry Bow. You see Larry Bow is send him, and then he puts on the stop.
So that breaks an 0 for 15 slide for Abreu. Jeter is a tying run. Gibbons going to hang here with Markham. And here's Alex Rodriguez. Alex walked and wrapped into a 4-6-3 double play.
Well, they got Scotty Downs up for Matsui, Posada, and Cano, and probably maybe Brandon League for Phillips. Or they might even be Brandon League against Posada and let him hit left-handed, but I would think they would stay with Scott Downs.
Swing and a miss. A-Rod just 1 for 12 lifetime against Markham, and that one was a home run. A-Rod drove in the Yankees' first run last night. We'd like to do the same thing tonight. He's at 32 homers and 90 runs batted in. The tying run 90 feet away, that's Derek Jeter. Bobby Abreu is at first. Blocked there by Phillips. And the count 1-1.
You know, the one thing that Markham has done to Alex Rodriguez, he's thrown him a lot of changeups. He's just thrown him 2 in a row there. He threw him 1 to get back in the count his last AB when he was 3-0. Trying to keep the ball down and get Alex way out in front and see if he can get him either roll over a ball or possibly pop one up in the infield.
Yeah, when a pitcher starts getting tired, though, not only does the fastball come up, so does everything else. And the changeups that are up are like putting it up on a tee, and they got a big neon sign on it come up to the plate. It says, hit me hard.
1-1. 2-1.
Sounds like you still think about this.
Oh,
Kenny.
yeah, just give me that 2-0 pitch. I'll take my chances.
A-Rod is 16 for 22. That's 73% on getting the runner in from third with less than 2 outs this year.
So once again, he fell behind on Jeter and had to pay the price. He fell behind on Abreu and paid the price. Right now he's behind on A-Rod. Most of the night he's been ahead on counts. And that's a sure indication the pitcher might start to get tired. And plus, it's the 3rd time through for these hitters. They've seen him twice. He's going to have to throw better than he did the first time to get these good hitters out.
2-1. Driven deep to left field. Backing up Johnson. Still back. On the run. It's over his head. And it goes to the wall. Jeter scores. Here comes Abreu. He scores. It's a 2-run double for Alex Rodriguez. And the Yankees have taken a 2-1 lead.
Falling behind on counts.
And we talked about with the long layoff, which he had in between the 7th. Here's pitch by pitch. Change up to get ahead, and then a change up in the dirt. Nice block by Phillips. Throws him another change up that's inside, and then he tries to throw him a little cut fastball away. Ends up belled high out over the plate. Bobby Abreu does a great job of reading this ball because it looked like Reed Johnson had a chance, and you see how close he is to Derek Jeter, and he scores easily. Great job by Bobby Abreu. I mean, this ball's not that far away from Reed Johnson. Stadium's shaking a little bit. You see the jump by Bobby Abreu. Knows that he can at least get the second and go back if Reed Johnson tags, and he scores easily. Good base running.
So another big hit for Alex.
Well, A-Rod at second, and this is a beautiful piece of hitting. You could fall behind on the couch. You can see where the pitch is, almost middle. He hit it a little off the end of the bat, maybe a little too quick. You can see the stiff front leg. You get maximum power that way and lift. And even though he didn't get good wood on it, you know how strong he is. This ball still almost left the park. It got to the warning track. You can see it just making contact just off the end. He had that classic A-Rod home run swing. Just didn't quite get it on the fat of the bat, and still drove it well over the head of Reed Johnson. He would have gotten at least 1 run in. It goes over his head. 2-run scores. Bobby Abreu with some good base running, and the Yankees take the lead. A-Rod, 92 runs batted in on the season.
And those 92 ribbies led this crowd to start chanting MVP. Scott Downs now against Hideki Matsui. And there's a strike. 7 of Alex Rodriguez's hits in July have been for extra bases. And those are Downs' numbers. This will be Downs' 50th appearance.
That leads the league.
And you see the strikeouts to innings ratio very good. He's got the good breaking ball that he showed Cano. He threw him 6 in a row and struck him out last night. Matsui singled off him in the 8th with 2 outs. And you see the good slider from Downs there.
Mariano starting to get loose. Who will the Yankees use in the 8th inning? Who will be the bridge? We talked about that in the pregame show. The 1-1. There's a strike, 1-2.
Oh, Matsui wishes he had that back. I bet you had curveball on his mind. Sometimes those pitches that get muddled in your mind. You're thinking, oh, I want that fastball. I really do, but will he throw a curve? And before you know it, you've talked yourself out of one and you get the other. I always kind of kept fastball on my mind because that's what I really wanted. But I knew that he might flip a changeup up there or a breaking ball.
1-2.
And I didn't get too many breaking balls. You know, being a switch hitter, you're always on the side of the plate where the breaking ball is coming to you. And I had a reputation of being a good breaking ball hitter, so I knew even if they threw one and I wasn't looking for it, I could still probably hit it.
Tough inning for Markham. Maybe that 25 minutes between innings did get to him. Or maybe the Yankees just had seen enough of him to finally know what to do. or to execute it. Here's the 2-2. There's a base hit to left field. Alex Rodriguez got a good jump. He rounds third. They hold him right there as Reed Johnson comes up throwing.
Some excellent coaching by Larry Boa at third base. He had him hustle and come around as hard as you can. But once Reed Johnson fielded this ball cleanly, remember, it's almost directly at the left fielder. Watch him come on. Reed Johnson has an excellent arm. Once he fielded it cleanly, that's when Larry Boa threw up the brakes and told A-Rod to get back to third. All three of the Blue Jay outfielders can throw. And Johnson, seeing how hard he charges the ball, and that's one thing that will make a coach hold a runner too. The outfielder charges the ball very hard. It was a strong throw to the plate, and with nobody out, there's no sense really sending it as Reed Johnson gets off a strong throw.
The other thing that does, Kenny, by being aggressive like that, is it makes the outfielder throw it. And sometimes the ball can skip away from the catcher, and the runner on first can get to second base. So you're just putting pressure on the defense, and it's important throughout a game.
Was it second night in a row Matsui's gotten a hit off downs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Both on fastball.
And that extends Matsui's hitting streak to 13 straight. Still nobody out. Runners on the corners. A-Rod's at third. Matsui is at first. And the count 2-0. Downs came into this game tied with John Rauch of the Washington Nationals for the most appearances in the majors with 49. As we mentioned, this is the 50th now for Downs. There's a breaking ball strike.
One thing I've always appreciated about Posada, when he starts out a game left-handed, it doesn't seem to bother him when he jumps over to the other side of the plate the first time. There are some switch hitters, and I would include myself at times when you've gone a while without batting right-handed, that all of a sudden they bring in a lefty, and maybe for a few days you haven't been up right-handed. All of a sudden you got to get yourself back in gear on that side of the plate. It doesn't seem to bother Posada because he's a very, very solid hitter on the right-hand side.
How do you split your BP at bats?
That's a good point, because I always took some swings right-handed, even if I wasn't facing. I knew I wasn't going to face a left-hander for a few days, every day, because you don't know who's coming out of the bullpen.
Right.
You know, a lot of guys will do, you know, in a night like tonight, might do the right-handed in the cage, and then they'll do what they're going to face that night on the field.
3-1.
See, but there's the option that wasn't there when I was playing. Very few stadiums had indoor cages.
Another good breaking ball by Downs. 3-1 count. And when you're a reliever like Scott Downs, it doesn't have the overpowering stuff. You have to be able to do that behind in the count, because your fastball is not going to get by people unless you're able to set it up with something slower like that curveball.
Three, 2. He struck him out. Big strikeout for Downs. Now a double play could get them out of the inning.
Went to the breaking ball, 3-2. That was his signature pitch during that whole at bat.
Now I'm anxious to see how he approaches Robinson Cano after throwing him 6 straight breaking balls. Is he going to start him with a breaking ball, or is he going to think that Robinson's sitting on a breaking ball?
That's his best pitch. He's going to throw it.
Well, you know, I think if I'm catching here, in a sense, that I might start him with a fastball. Go out and tell him I'm going to start him with a fastball off the plate, one that he can't reach, just to change the speed. Now, he might swing at it.
They call for one inside, fastball in.
And now I'm going back to the breaking ball.
Just to give him a different look.
Just to put a little thought in his head where he can't just say, okay, I know he's throwing me all breaking balls.
That's it, isn't it? Breaking ball.
Yep. Little slider there.
Getting back to Posada's at bat, the best switch hitter I ever saw would go on days without seeing a right-hander and then a left-hander, and then getting out on the other side of the play was Eddie Murray. That left-hander made one mistake. That ball was in somebody's bullpen.
I think you got to throw him another breaking ball here, because you do have an open base in second base. You got League in the bullpen and a right-handed hitter up next. Give him a good fastball inside. Great location.
Moving in on the hands. League was impressive the other night for somebody who was making his first appearance in the major leagues this year. Everything was down. Movement, sharp breaking ball.
Looks like Bruni is going to be the 8th inning guy tonight. Cano 2 for 13 lifetime against Scott Downs. Breaking ball 3-1.
All right, if you're Cano now, you've kind of painted him into a fastball count, but not according to Joe Girardi. He's going to be another hook.
Because my thought is, I look out and you got a Brandon League in the bullpen that throws a hard sinker, and you got a right-handed hitter up in Phillips.
All right.
And you play for the double play. I mean, you can't make a mistake with a fastball here, I think.
Yeah, there's your breaking ball. Oh, wait a minute.
Well, the catcher had the idea for the breaking ball. Let's see what the pitcher's thinking here.
Fastball.
Fastball, yeah.
Now what?
Breaking ball. You know, Greg Maddux always said that he thought hitters were more aggressive on 3-2 than 2-2. And 3-2, they expand their zone because for some reason they want to hit in these situations.
Well, we know Robinson Cano is that way.
Yes.
And you know, Greg Maddux would go over the stat sheet, see who walks and see who doesn't, and he would know that sort of thing.
He knew too much all the time. I know that.
340 wins worth.
The 3-2. Threw him a fastball outside. Just missed outside. And Robinson Cano, with some uncharacteristic patience, he walks to load the bases.
Well, pitch by pitch, he starts him with a fastball away. He threw him 6 straight breaking balls, and then he throws him a slider, 2-0. Goes fastball in, runs it in his hands a little bit. Throws him another breaking ball, gets behind 3-1. Robbie does a good job. 3-2, fastball, and then throws another fastball and walks him. And the pitches were close, but Robbie did a good job laying off.
John Gibbons takes the ball from Downs, and now he's going to call on his hard-throwing right-hander, Brandon League, from the dugout as they turn it over to Brandon League. Bases loaded, Andy Phillips at the plate. 2-1 Yankee lead. Ground ball through for a base hit. A-Rod scores. Here comes Matsui. He scores. Another big hit for Andy Phillips, and the Yankees lead 4-1.
Andy Phillips has come up big this month, and this is a fastball that we talked about, and he has a good sinker, but this one's not quite down far enough, and Andy Phillips hits it with some authority through the hole. The shortstop is playing double play depth, so this ball gets through. Matsui gets a good jump and scores easily. The Yankees go ahead 4-1. If he's not playing double play depth, he's able to get this ball, but because the bases were loaded and they had to do it, the ball gets through.
There's Melky Cabrera. He has a 13-game hitting streak. He's 0 for 2. And that one is sliced down the left field line. Reed Johnson on the run and makes a beautiful play. As the runners retreat, Johnson took an extra base hit and a couple of runs away from the Yankees.
They are solid defenders in the outfield, and Reed Johnson makes this play. All 3 of the outfielders have the capability of playing center field. And Reed Johnson ranging far and reaches up and hauls it in. That's to the max right there, and then gets the ball back in. Here's their super shot, slow-mo on Yes HD, and Reed Johnson, each and every time he caught that ball on every replay.
And here's Johnny Damon, the 9th Yankee to come to the plate. One hopper up the middle, and the flip to second, that will do it. But the Yankees come alive. They score 4 runs. They leave 2. The big blow gave the Yankees the lead. Alex Rodriguez with a 2-run double. That made it 2-1. It's now 4-1. Rivera. See Bruni's numbers, and the only thing you can complain about with Bruni is the walk total.
And the reason you asked that question is he's closed out the last 3 games, and do you want him to throw 4 days in a row? You might say, well, why is Ron Vallone up in this situation? Well, Ron Vallone is up if Matt Stairs gets a chance to hit.
Now
for McDonald.
Mariano was actually throwing for a while and then took a seat. Read into that what you will.
That's it. I think that's his normal routine, to play a little catch and just to get a little blood flow in that arm. And just to be a little looser if they need him.
And he walks it. And that is the bugaboo with Brian Bruni. Got great stuff, but he does walk too many. Time for the Blue Jays in-game box score, sponsored by Hummer. 10 hits for the Blue Jays. Reed Johnson with 2. Alex Rios 4 for 4. Triple a run scored, the only run for the Jays. Troy Gloss drove in the only run. That came in the first inning against Roger Clemens. Frank Thomas with a hit. Aaron Hill with 2. Pinch hitter is Greg Zahn, pinch hitting for Jason Phillips.
Stairs has come to the on-deck circle.
You can hear the crowd starting to get a bit restless, and so is Ron Guidry. He'll go out to the mound and talk with Bruni. At Fenway Park, they're in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Royals lead the Red Sox 6-5. Yankees come into this game 7 back of the loss column to the Red Sox. Also, earlier in the day, there were 7 day games in baseball today. The Indians lost again, and the Indians are leading the Yankees in the wild card. So right now they are 5 back in the loss column from the Indians, and now Mariano does join Ron Vallone. You think they use Mariano in the 8th?
Well, obviously that's why he's up in the situation. If they need him, you know, he must have told Joe that he felt pretty good.
That puts a lot of pressure tomorrow on Chien-Ming Wang, because it's a day game, number 1, and number 2, that would be the 5th straight day they'd use him.
Yeah, but that's what Joe's thinking, because no starter goes deeper in the games than Chien-Ming Wang does.
Fly ball to center field. Melky Cabrera is there. You know, we keep saying that Rivera pitched yesterday. He didn't pitch yesterday. He pitched 3 games before that, so it would be 3 out of 4. This would be 4 out of 5. And here's Matt Stairs pinch hitting for McDonald. And that's all Joe Torre needs to see. He'll go to the bullpen now and call on Ron Vallone. 15th game, it'll face Matt Stairs.
Stairs has done a pretty good job against lefties. 286. Had 28 at bats, 8 hits, including 4 doubles. Just a good, solid hitter.
Jumps on the first pitch and fouls it back. Stairs. And he walked him. Just kept throwing fastball after fastball and walked him. And now Joe Torre has seen enough. And he is going to go to Mariano Rivera. Lead of the Toronto Blue Jays 4-1, and they turn to Mariano Rivera to get the final 5 outs of this game. Those are his numbers. He has 14 saves, less than a hit per inning, a strikeout per inning, and just 5 walks. He's made 14 straight saves, incidentally, so 14 for his last 14. And he's facing 2 pretty good hitters here, with runners on first and second for the Jays in the 8th. Reed Johnson 2 for 3. He struck out in the first. bunt single in the 3rd, single to center in the 5th, and then the BB is a base on balls in the 7th. Rios on deck. He's 4 for 4. Four to 1 Yankees. Yankees just scored their 4 in the bottom of the 7th. And the pitch. Jumps on the first pitch and fouls it away. Along with Joe Girardi and Ken Singleton, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball right here on Yes. Yankees lead 4 to 1. Rivera has not allowed a hit in his last 15 at bats with runners in scoring position.
You know, one thing about the Yankee bullpen, and I think we would agree that the bullpen has been allowing way too many base on balls this year. It's kind of opened up the door. And the thing about Mariano over the years made it so successful is his ability to throw strikes immediately out of the bullpen and not what has he got, 5 walks this year? I mean, you can count the guys on one hand, and we're halfway through the season.
This could be 2. Grounded to A-Rod. There's 1 under first. A bad throw, knocked down by Phillips, and for some reason Hill does not score. He stays put at 3rd.
I think he's making sure at this point. They're down by 3 runs. This looked like it would be a double play, and watch the throw that A-Rod gives to Cano. It looks like it was pretty good stead, pretty good throw, but the relay to first was offline. It would have been a double play. Sometimes a second baseman can be thrown off by the throw thrown to him. Good hustle by Andy Phillips, and I think Hill held at 3rd because he knows he's got to make sure. The footwork was a little off there for Cano, and the throw was off going to first base.
You know, it looked like Robinson was expecting the throw to the back part of the base, and he got it in the inside part of the base, and then had to avoid the runner in a different manner, and that led to a bad throw.
Here's Rios, 4 for 4 today. And there's a strike.
I mean, he's expecting this throw on the back part of second base, and when he has to come to the inside, he has to go to the right too much and throw across his body, which leads to the bad throw. Phillips does a nice job of trying to catch it and then realizes he's got to keep it from rolling against the wall.
Count 0-2.
Yeah, the danger here is that you bring Rios to the plate. And while he's never ever had a hit off of Mariano, Rios has improved into being an all-star player, and he's got 4 hits tonight.
The 0-2. Still 0-2.
See Posada get way up in the zone, telling Mariano Rivera to get up. Looks like Rios just fouls this ball off, and then he took a sniff of his bat. Sometimes it almost smells like the wood's burning when you foul balls off like that.
The 0-2. Upstairs.
And a lot of times catchers and pitchers will go with a theory. If he chases one up and just fouls it off, go a little bit higher and see if he'll continue to climb the ladder, and Rios was able to lay off of that one. Now they got a couple different options that they can go to, but they've changed his eye level. He's been up the last 2 pitches, throwing something down.
The 1-2. He struck him out. Impressive performance by Rivera, but still, he has 3 more outs to get. The Blue Jays. Grounded slowly, third base side. League fields, fires. Got a nice play by Brandon League.
Well, you see how athletic Brandon League is. He picks this ball up barehanded because that's the only play he's got. If he goes down with his glove and has to make the transfer, Derek Jeter will be safe, and he plants with his right foot, kind of throws it sidearm and makes a great play to get Derek Jeter.
That's a great camera shot.
And the pitch to Abreu was a strike. Abreu broke an 0 for 15 slide with a big single in the 7th inning. That really helped jumpstart the Yankees to that 4-run inning.
Put runners at first and third with nobody out following Derek Jeter's single, and it was rally on from that point on.
The Yankees worked a hit and run with Abreu and Jeter, and then Jeter and Damon. They had first and third in the 4th inning with nobody out and didn't score, but in the 7th inning, Kenny talked about, they got the inning going and 4 runs. Nice that Coney could make it on the anniversary of his perfect game.
He's probably out celebrating somewhere. Why not?
Kind of looks like him from behind a little bit.
Except for the earring.
Yeah.
Another base hit for Bobby Abreu. That's his 23rd multi-hit game of the year. Want to remind everybody that after the postgame, Yankeeography, picture perfect. And they will break it down. Cone, Larson, Wells, John Sterling will call all the action on Yankeeography, picture perfect. Here's A-Rod. Let's see if they can turn 2. There's 1 on to first. It wasn't in time anyway. Not handled there by Overbay. Clayton, who had taken over at short, started it and got the force at second.
Yeah, once Clayton retreated, it's going to be to take too long to complete this play. A-Rod was going to beat it out, and also gave Abreu some time to put some pressure on Hill down there at second base.
You know, the difference I saw in the couple double plays that McDonald turned and the one that Clayton turned was McDonald was ready to throw as soon as he caught it.
Yeah.
Where Clayton kind of had to wind up and had to set his hand and his arm. And that might have been that brief second that didn't allow them to turn that double play.
Here's Matsui. He is 1 for 3. Fouled away. And the 0-1. 1-1. Tying runners at first base in Boston. Manny Ramirez is at the plate. Royals lead 6-5. And if Manny's at the plate, Big Papi's on deck.
Octavio Dotel trying to close it out.
No, it's the other way around. So maybe David Ortiz is the guy that's on first. He is.
With Youkilis probably on deck.
Well, Manny did not get a hit. The game is over. He popped up, and Kansas City beats the Red Sox 6-5. So now the Yankees hold on. The significance of being 6 back in the loss column is this, and it's a small thing, but I know it's something that resonates in baseball people's minds. You want to be within striking distance of how many games you have left with that team. And the Yankees and the Red Sox have 6 games remaining between each other. And you would also have to think, just from history, the Red Sox have to be a little concerned right now.
Well, they haven't played well. I mean,
No.
they were 35-15. I mean, they've been around that 20 over mark.
Yeah.
And since then, they're a couple games under 500. And, you know, they had a chance to put the Yankees away. And they didn't do it in the month of June. And the Yankees had some more struggles, but the Yankees hung around. And
that one is lofted into left field. It is going to dunk in front of Matt Stairs for a base hit. Alex Rodriguez, of course, was running on the 3-2 and 2 out, so he goes to third. Another base hit for Matsui.
This is when you're hitting well. Now, Matsui's got, what, 2 hits tonight? That looked like ball 4. But off the end of the bat, not his best swing. Kind of a, looked like some sort of a get it back over the net in tennis. And he's going to chase A-Rod to third. That's when you're hitting well. When you're getting hits on swings like that, because when he's getting his good swings lately, they've been going out of the ballpark.
I was thinking it was a little bit like your wedge shot, too.
And stop about 10 feet away from the flag. Just ask the cat, putter, please.
For Matsui, his 5th consecutive multi-hit game. Here is Posada. He is 0 for 3. And a strike. Now 1-1. A-Rod at third, Matsui at first. Yankees lead 4-1. And the bottom of the 8th inning, looking for their 11th win in their last 14 games. Fly ball down the left field line, giving chase is Matt Stairs in the corner. He runs out of room.
Jorge inspecting the bat. You know, sometimes those bats will flake or chip on the end, and then the only thing they're good for is a batting practice. You put tape on it and use it in BP.
One, two. Ooh, nice save there by Zahn.
League is not quite as sharp as he was the other night when he came in.
You know, to me, it almost looks like his arm angle's down a little bit more. And it's got to be hard to throw that split finger and get the tumble that you want when your arm is and your hand is on the side of the baseball. I mean, you can throw that sinker like that, but it's really hard to throw your split.
He had shoulder problems, as we mentioned, in spring training, and if you notice that, well, if he's dropping his arm now because he's pitched in a couple of games, it makes you wonder.
See that his arm is, it's almost a sidearm delivery. And it's difficult to throw an effective split like that.
Line drive, base hit to left field. That'll score A-Rod. Matsui was going. He stops at second. RBI single for Posada, his 51st Rookie of the Year, and there's a 5-1 Yankee lead. All of this with 2 outs.
You know, Kenny, you talked about the more pitches you see and the better the count gets in your favor. Got the 3-2. You got a better chance of getting a hit, and that's exactly what Jorge Posada did.
Yankees 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position tonight. The Blue Jays 1 for 15. And the tall lefty deals. Grounded through the right side for a base hit. Matsui rounds third. He's coming home. Here's the throw from Rios. Here's the play. He's in there. Run scores. RBI Cano. 6-1 Yanks.
Well, that's a big run. These last 2 hits by Posada and Cano now make it a 5-run lead. And what that does, that means even if the Blue Jays hit a grand slam in the top of the 9th inning, it won't tie the game. There's a slide by Matsui as Zahn's trying to guard home plate. Looked like he ran right into the foot of the catcher. And appears that Hideki's going to be okay. You can see Zahn sticking that leg out, which can be dangerous for the catcher as well.
Especially when it's extended like that, because it can get almost like hyperextended.
There's no give.
That's right.
Here's Andy Phillips.
I think what we've seen from Greg Zahn as a catcher is he'll block the plate any way he can. Last night he did it with his hip. He was up in the air and came down and blocked it with his hip. And tonight he tried to do it with his foot. And if the throw's a little bit more towards third base, he can block the plate better. But because it was to the first base side, he didn't really have much of a chance.
So the bullpen empty, so they are going to use Rivera despite having a 5-run lead, which is outside.
He came in a save situation. It's his game to get the save.
You know what's amazing about Rios? He throws the ball like an infielder. It doesn't look like he's winding up. He's just got such a great arm.
Quick release, and there is some movement on his throws, which is usually outfielders. They got that true throw right over the top, but he doesn't throw over the top.
He almost throws it like a third baseman.
He's got some zip on it, though. He's got a strong arm. Good all-around player, and now that he's added power, he's becoming a 5-tool player. Although with the Blue Jays, he's not going to steal all that many bases, although he can.
You know, I think it's a guy that could steal 30 to 40 bases if they let him and he wanted to, but it might take away from some of his power as the year went on.
He's got 9. That leads their team. Here's the throw that we're talking about. He gets into the ball quickly and zoom. It's sort of like a 3/4 motion. Outfielders usually are straight over the top. That makes the ball get on top of those 4 seams. It makes the ball stay in the air longer.
He's made some great throws in this series. The 2-2. High fly ball center field. Wells is there. And he'll put it away for the final out of the 8th. But the Yankees get 2 runs on 4 hits. They lead 2. They've scored all their runs in the 7th and 8th inning. Sean Markham allowed just 2 hits and shut them out over 6, but then cracked in the 7th. There's a strike. Now the Yankees hold on. 4 of their 5 wins during this 5-game winning streak would have been comeback wins, and that's something that they weren't doing earlier in the year, or for most of the year. Here's the 1-1. There's a strike. And the pitch. High fly ball center field. Cabrera is there, and he'll put it away for the first out. Here at Yes, our award-winning Yankees coverage doesn't end with the final pitch. Oh, no. Stay tuned for the Nissan postgame with Bob Lorenz to get a recap of all the key plays from this showdown with the Blue Jays, as well as highlights from around the league. Plus, Nancy Newman has the inside scoop from the clubhouse. The Nissan postgame, its coverage won't get anywhere else. And, of course, it immediately follows the game only on Yes. Here's Troy Gloss. Hit a triple against Rivera in the first game of the series. Missed a home run by about an inch.
Would have been his 3rd of the game.
And a strike. Along with Joe Girardi and Ken Singleton, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball on Yes. Yankees lead the Jays 6-1. Roger Clemens started. He will not get the decision. Mike Myers will get the win.
Roger Clemens did a pretty good job of, he was in trouble. He gave up 9 hits, a season high, but he only gave up 1 run. So he knew how to keep him on base, making some big pitches when he had to.
Big part of that was actually getting Vernon Wells out a few times.
The 2-2 popped up shallow right. Abreu calls off Cano, and the Yankees are 1 out away. And that leaves it up to Frank Thomas to keep this one alive. He's 1 for 3 with a walk.
Got to believe in this at bat. He's going to either throw him a sinker or a cutter inside, and Big Frank's going to jump back.
That happened once at bat. How many? Frank's been to the plate over 7,000 times.
Count 1-0. Mariano, 18 pitches so far. And the 1-0. 2-0.
One thing that using Mariano for a 5-out save. Tomorrow's a day game. There is not quite as much time to recuperate from an outing. And he's about at 19 pitches.
That shocks me right there that Frank Thomas would swing there. Down 6-1. He's an on-base percentage guy. He's over the 500 homer mark.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, he's over. Yeah, maybe he wants to catch up to Eddie Murray. It's 3 ahead of him.
This should do it. Ground ball to Cano. He gobbles it up. And the Yankees win the game 6-1. Mariano Rivera with a 5-out save. He's now 15 for his last 15. Yankees have won 11 of 14. They've won 4 consecutive series. And these are the up-to-the-minute standings in the American League East. The Red Sox lost to the Royals. The Yankees beat the Blue Jays. So the Yankees are 6 back in the loss column and 7 back of the Red Sox overall. For Joe Torre, a happy birthday present for his 67th birthday. Alex Rodriguez with the big blow. It was 1-0 Jays in the 7th inning, and he had a 2-run double over the head of Reed Johnson. And the Yankees were off to the races after that. They scored 4 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th, and they win the game by a score of 6-1. So the Yankees is playing much better baseball than they had been playing for most of the season. Again, they've won 4 consecutive series after having lost 4 consecutive series before that. Just a different feel around this team as they just have that look that they expect to win rather than hoping to win. So the Yankees win this one 6-1, 6-11-0 for the Yanks and 1-10-0 for the Blue Jays. Good win for the Yankees, and a guy right in the middle of it again was Alex Rodriguez, and he joins us with Nancy Newman in front of the Yankee dugout. Nancy?
Thanks, Michael. Alex Rodriguez, your team has certainly refound its flair for the dramatic, finding a way to win the close ones late, which was not so true early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, Rocket gave us a great chance today with a great effort, and 1 through 9 guys have been contributing all along, so it's a good win for us.
And yourself, 92 RBIs now. Take me through your at-bat in that 7th inning. It looked like you waited for your pitch and you sent it over the head of Reed Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy you have to be patient with, get a good pitch to hit, and not try to do too much. And The prior bat, I grounded into a double play, so I just decided to relax a little bit and hit it hard somewhere.
Sure worked. And a little bit more about Roger Clemens. What a gritty effort. Held Toronto down, worked in and out of trouble all night long until your offense could come around.
Well, Roger's a great competitor. He just kept making great pitches after great pitches and pitched himself out of trouble, got a couple big double plays, and big win for us.
Way to go, Alex. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Alex, as well. For Mike Myers, it's his first win since August 18th of last year when he beat the Boston Red Sox. So Alex Rodriguez with 92 ribbies. Mariano Rivera with his 15th save. When we come back, we give out the awards and then the post game after that. Yankees win 6-1.